In the frozen heart of a Minnesota winter, why would two devoted mother dogs, Amber and Bella, be abandoned in the merciless cold? Who could leave these gentle souls to face such a cruel fate alone? And what secrets lie buried beneath the snow, waiting to be uncovered by one determined investigator? The sun had barely risen over the sleepy town of Willow Creek, Minnesota, painting the vast snow-covered landscape in hues of pale blue and grey. It was a frigid morning, the kind where the chill seeped into your bones, unforgiving and sharp. In this small community, where everyone knew each other by their first names, an unsettling silence enveloped the town, heavier than the blankets of snow that lined the empty streets. On the outskirts, along a rarely travelled road that cut through the dense woodlands, two shapes lay motionless in the snow. They were barely visible from the road, covered as they were by the night's fresh snowfall. It wasn't until Dave Peterson, a local who habitually walked his dog along this path, noticed something unusual that the grim discovery was made. Dave, a burly man in his mid-50s with a greying beard and kind eyes, was known for his morning walks, regardless of the weather. This morning, his breath formed thick clouds in the air as he and his Labrador, Max, trudged through the snow. Max was the first to sense something amiss. His ears perked up and he pulled on his leash, guiding Dave off the path towards the snow-covered mound. As they drew closer, Dave's heart sank. Beneath the pristine white of the snow lay two dogs, a golden retriever and a German shepherd. They were nestled against each other, as if seeking warmth in their final moments. The golden retriever had a collar that gleamed faintly in the weak sunlight, with a tag that read Amber. Next to her, the sturdier body of the German shepherd bore another tag, Bella. The harsh reality of the situation was immediate and painful. These were not wild animals, they were pets, abandoned and left to face the cruelest of fates alone. Dave, shaking his head in disbelief and sorrow, dialed 911. His voice was calm but carried an undercurrent of anger as he reported the situation. Within minutes, the local sheriff's department responded. Sheriff Linda Martinez, who had served the town for over a decade, arrived promptly. Her expression was somber as she assessed the scene. She had seen a lot in her years, but the cruelty of abandoning animals in such a brutal winter was something that always hit hard. "Looks like they've been here a couple of days," she noted grimly, kneeling beside the dogs. Her deputy, a younger officer named Rick, took photographs and documented the scene, his face set in a hard line of professionalism mixed with disgust. "They had collars, Linda. Someone's pets," Rick said, his voice low. Linda nodded, her eyes scanning the area. "We need to find out who they belong to. No animal deserves to die like this. We'll start with a canvass of the area, see if anyone saw anything, maybe check with local vets and shelters. These dogs might be chipped." The news of the discovery spread through Willow Creek like wildfire. By midday, nearly everyone in the town had heard about Amber and Bella. The story resonated deeply in this tight-knit community, and the outrage grew. Social media posts multiplied, and local news channels picked up the story, broadcasting images of the dogs and asking anyone with information to come forward. In her office, Linda pulled up the town's database of registered pets, starting her search for any records of Amber and Bella. Meanwhile, calls came in from concerned citizens, each conversation fueling the sheriff's determination to bring some justice for the dogs. Among the callers was Janet Simmons, a teacher at the local elementary school, who mentioned seeing a new family move into the area about a month ago. They had a golden retriever and a German shepherd, she recalled, worrying her voice. "I saw them walking the dogs along Mill Road once, but I haven't seen the dogs in the last week." Armed with this new lead, Linda decided to visit the address Janet had provided. The house was on the outskirts of town, a secluded spot surrounded by dense forest. As she drove, the sheriff's thoughts were dark. The idea of someone capable of such neglect living among them was disturbing, but she was determined to uncover the truth. Upon reaching the house, Linda found it appeared unkempt, with signs of recent abandonment. No response came when she knocked on the door, and a peek through the windows revealed a house in disarray, with furniture and belongings left in haste. The investigation was just beginning, and as Linda stood there in the cold, looking back at the tire tracks leading away from the house, she knew this case was going to be a tough one. But for Amber and Bella, and for the community that mourned them, she was ready to fight to uncover the cruelty hidden beneath the icy silence of that Minnesota winter. In the quiet office of the Willow Creek Sheriff's Department, Sheriff Linda Martinez and John, the animal investigator, pored over the documents they had gathered from the abandoned house on the edge of town. Among these were several faded receipts, crumpled flyers for pet sales, and a stack of correspondence that seemed to point to a network much larger than just a local issue. Linda spread the documents out on her desk, her brow furrowed as she tried to connect the dots. "John, look at this," she said, handing him a receipt for a large purchase of dog food and kennel supplies that was traced back to a nearby town, Blackwood. "This might be where they were keeping more dogs. It's about time we pay a visit." John nodded in agreement, his mind racing with the implications of their find. The two set out for Blackwood, a small community nestled deep in the forest, known for its sprawling landscapes and, unfortunately, a lack of strict law enforcement, which made it a perfect cover for illicit activities like the one they suspected. As they drove, the scenery changed from the well-tended fields of Willow Creek to the dense, untamed forests of Blackwood. They arrived at a secluded property at the end of a gravel road, marked by high fences and surveillance cameras, an unusual setup for a rural area. The gate was locked, but Linda, prepared for such an obstacle, cut the lock with bolt cutters. They entered the property quietly, not knowing what to expect. The air was filled with the unmistakable smell of animals, and faint barking could be heard in the distance. They approached a series of rundown sheds, the likely source of the noise. Inside the first shed, they found rows of cages, each containing dogs of various breeds in poor conditions. It was a heartbreaking sight. Amber and Bella's siblings, perhaps, all victims of this cruel trade. John documented everything with his camera, while Linda checked each cage for any sign of ownership or identification that could aid their investigation. In the corner of the shed, under a tarp, they discovered a stack of paperwork that included more receipts, breeding records, and a ledger that contained entries of sales stretching back several years. This was the evidence they needed to prove that this was not just a one-off situation, but a well-organized operation. Feeling the urgency to act quickly, they called for backup. Within an hour, local police and several units from neighboring counties converged on the site. A thorough search of the property led to the discovery of more sheds and, tragically, more animals in distress. The operation expanded as they found connections to other illegal breeding facilities in the region. Each document, each rescued animal, added layers to their understanding of the network's reach and operations. John, working closely with forensic accountants, traced the flow of money to a well-known figure in the pet trade industry, revealing a multi-state operation. As the day turned into evening, the rescued dogs were transported to animal shelters and veterinary hospitals, where they would begin their long road to recovery. Linda watched as the last truck left the property, her face a mixture of sadness and determination. "We've done good today, John, but this is just the beginning. We need to ensure no more animals suffer like Amber and Bella did," she declared. Back at the sheriff's office, Linda and John debriefed with their team, laying out the next steps of their investigation. They planned raids on other properties linked to the ledger, hoping to dismantle the entire network. Each officer was reminded of the importance of their work, not just in enforcing the law, but in protecting the voiceless. As they wrapped up, John placed the photos of Amber and Bella on the whiteboard at the front of the room. "Let's not forget why we're doing this," he said, his voice firm. "It's for them and every animal like them." Following the successful raid on the illegal breeding facility in Blackwood, John, alongside a team of local animal control officers and veterinarians, continued his investigation into the network's reach. His relentless pursuit of leads brought him to a more secluded part of the forest, known to locals as the Silent Pines area. It was here, John suspected, that the worst of the neglect and abuse occurred, far from the prying eyes of the law. The journey into Silent Pines was treacherous, especially as winter's grip tightened around the forest. The roads, barely more than dirt tracks, were slick with ice and snow, challenging even for John's well-equipped 4x4. As they moved deeper into the wilderness, the sad, distant barks of dogs echoed through the trees, guiding John and his team to a hidden clearing. There they found a ramshackle structure, crudely assembled from old wood and metal sheets. Surrounding it were several makeshift pens where dogs of various breeds huddled together for warmth. The scene was dismal. The animals were clearly malnourished, their coats matted and dirty, eyes filled with a mix of fear and resignation. As John approached one of the pens, 2 small puppies caught his eye. They bore a striking resemblance to Amber and Bella, with one exhibiting the golden coat of its mother and the other the darker mixed tones of its German Shepherd lineage. Seeing the poor conditions they were enduring, particularly how they shivered uncontrollably in the cold, John felt a surge of determination. He decided on the spot to name the golden retriever puppy Sunny and the German Shepherd mix Shadow, reflecting not only their appearance but also the light and darkness of their ordeal. The names seemed to symbolize a hopeful beginning and the grim reality of their past, respectively. With no time to waste, John and the veterinary team set about rescuing the dogs. Each animal was carefully examined and then moved into the warmth and safety of the mobile rescue unit. Sunny and Shadow, despite their frailty, showed a resilient spirit as they were gently lifted away from the squalor. They were wrapped in blankets and placed together in a single warm crate, providing comfort to each other on their journey to safety. The rescue mission continued throughout the day, with each dog receiving immediate medical attention. Many were suffering from hypothermia, dehydration, and injuries from their harsh living conditions. The veterinarians worked tirelessly, treating frostbite, administering vaccines, and preparing the dogs for transport to various animal shelters where they would receive further care. Back at the rescue center, John documented the operation, taking notes and photographs that would later be used to build a case against those responsible for the cruelty. As he watched Sunny and Shadow sleeping peacefully under the care of the veterinary team, he felt a mix of anger and hope. Anger for what had been done to these innocent animals, and hope that their rescue marked the beginning of a new life. The Willow Creek Animal Rescue Center had become a sanctuary of healing and hope as the rescued dogs from the Silent Pines raid were brought in, one by one. At the center of this whirlwind of activity was Dr. Emily Jensen, the lead veterinarian, whose expertise and compassion were critical in these first crucial hours. The center was bustling with volunteers and veterinary staff, all moving with a sense of urgency. Stainless steel tables were lined with blankets and heating pads, ready for the new arrivals. Each dog received a quick but thorough examination upon arrival, checking for frostbite, dehydration, malnutrition, and other injuries that needed immediate attention. Emily's focus, however, was on the most vulnerable of the rescued, the newborn puppies, particularly Sunny and Shadow. The 2 puppies, barely a few weeks old, were suffering from severe hypothermia and dehydration. Their fragile bodies were wrapped in thermal blankets, with IV lines carefully inserted to provide them with essential fluids and nutrients. As Emily worked, she was acutely aware of the grim odds these puppies were facing. "We need to stabilize their temperature and get them hydrated," she instructed her team. "Keep monitoring their vitals every 15 minutes and let me know of any changes immediately." The rescue center had been transformed into a makeshift intensive care unit. Portable incubators hummed in the background, providing much-needed warmth. The sounds of soft whimpers and steady beeping from the heart monitors filled the air, a stark reminder of the critical condition of many of the animals. Sunny and Shadow were placed side by side in an incubator, their small forms barely distinguishable under the layers of blankets. Emily checked on them repeatedly, adjusting their IV lines, gently stroking their fur, and speaking to them in a soothing voice. "You're safe now," she whispered. "Just keep fighting." As hours turned into days, the tireless efforts of Emily and her team began to show results. Many of the dogs started to show signs of recovery, their eyes brighter and their tails wagging weakly as they began to respond to the care and affection they were receiving. However, the journey was not without setbacks. Some nights were long, filled with emergencies as some of the weaker dogs struggled with complications. Emily, running on little sleep and fueled by a strong coffee and stronger determination, was a constant presence at the side of her patients. Midweek brought a small victory that felt monumental. Sunny, who had been one of the most critical cases, finally started to show signs of improvement. His breathing became more stable, and he began to show interest in his surroundings, a sign that his strength was returning. Shadow, too, started to recover, his initial weakness giving way to a curious and gentle nature. Emily documented every step of their recovery, maintaining detailed records that would be crucial for their continued rehabilitation. "Each small improvement is a victory," she noted in her log. "Sunny and Shadow are fighters just like their mothers." The community around Willow Creek took heart from these stories of survival and resilience. Local schools started fundraising drives, and residents came forward to donate supplies and funds to support the rescue center. The story of the puppies, shared on social media and local news, brought further attention and assistance, turning a local rescue operation into a community-wide mission of mercy and compassion. By the end of the week, Emily could finally take a moment to step back and see the fruits of her labor. Sunny and Shadow, now much stronger, were able to play gently under her watchful eye. Their playful barks and wagging tails were a testament to their recovery and a beacon of hope for all the animals still on their own paths to recovery. "This is why we do what we do," Emily said to her team as they gathered around to watch the puppies play. "Every life saved, every tail wag, it's a reminder of the good we can do." Following the rescue operation and the stabilization of the dogs and puppies, the focus of Sheriff Linda Martinez and animal investigator John shifted back to the legal repercussions for those responsible for the Silent Pines illegal breeding facility. Their diligent work and the evidence collected from the raid had laid a solid foundation for a strong case against the operators. The owners of the facility, identified through financial records and surveillance footage as brothers Michael and David Hanley, were arrested without incident at their residence in a neighboring town. Known in the community for their elusive behavior, few had suspected the brothers were behind such a large-scale operation of animal cruelty. The prosecution moved quickly due to the public outcry and the overwhelming evidence presented by the sheriff's department. The case was airtight, showcasing not only the direct evidence from the Silent Pines site, but also tying the brothers to other illegal operations across the state. Financial transactions, witness testimonies, and veterinary reports painted a clear picture of prolonged abuse and neglect. As the trial commenced, the courtroom was often packed with animal rights activists, concerned citizens, and media personnel. The case had ignited a fierce debate in the community and beyond about the adequacy of current animal protection laws. Outside the courthouse, signs and chants from protesters demanded justice for Amber, Bella, Sunny, Shadow, and countless others like them. Linda and John were key witnesses, their testimony detailing the conditions of the rescue and the state in which the animals were found. Photos and videos taken during the raid were displayed, causing gasps and tears among the courtroom audience. The emotional impact of these images made a powerful impression on the jury. The trial not only sought to punish the Hanley brothers, but also served as a catalyst for broader legal reforms. Advocates for animal rights used the momentum to lobby state legislators for stricter laws governing pet breeding and the sale of animals. Public forums and debates were held, with Emily, the veterinarian, and other animal welfare experts leading discussions on the ethical treatment of animals and the need for systemic changes. In a landmark verdict, the Hanley brothers were found guilty of multiple counts of animal cruelty, illegal breeding, and the operation of an unlicensed facility. The judge, citing the need for a strong deterrent against similar crimes, sentenced them to significant prison time and a lifetime ban from owning or operating any animal-related business. The conclusion of the trial was met with cheers from the gathered crowd outside the courthouse. For many, it was a sign that the justice system could indeed work in favor of the voiceless. However, the fight was far from over. Encouraged by the outcome, the community, led by Linda and John, continued to push for changes at both the state and national levels. Inspired by the case, a documentary filmmaker approached Linda and John to create a feature film about the Silent Pines raid, the subsequent trial, and the ongoing efforts to reform animal welfare laws. The project aimed to raise national awareness and inspire similar actions across the country. The positive outcome of the trial and the heightened community awareness around animal welfare sparked a wave of support for the rescued dogs and puppies. As news of the conviction spread, the story of the animals' plight and their remarkable rescue touched the hearts of people not only in Willow Creek but across the region. The Willow Creek Animal Rescue Center became the focal point for this newfound enthusiasm, with volunteers and potential adopters pouring in to offer their help and open their homes. Emily Jensen, who had been at the forefront of the medical efforts to rehabilitate the animals, now found herself coordinating the adoption process. "It's incredible to see the community rally like this," she said, her eyes scanning the busy reception area of the center. The walls were lined with photos of the dogs, each with a brief description of their recovery journey and personality. Local businesses joined the cause, hosting adoption events and fundraising activities. A local pet supply store offered discounts on supplies for those adopting the rescued dogs, while a popular cafe held a weekend event where people could meet the dogs in a relaxed, friendly environment. The local newspaper ran feature stories on the dogs, highlighting their individual stories and the families who adopted them. Sunny and Shadow, the puppies that had become the faces of the rescue, were among the first to find a new home. A family with 2 children who had followed their story from the beginning adopted them together. "We couldn't bear the thought of separating them after all they've been through," the mother explained as her children gently played with Sunny and Shadow in their new backyard. "They're part of our family now, and we're going to make sure they know nothing but love." The adoption process was careful and thorough. Emily and her team made sure each potential adopter was vetted and that they understood the responsibilities involved in caring for the animals. Many of the dogs had special needs, requiring ongoing medical attention and rehabilitation, and it was crucial that their new homes were equipped to provide for them. Community education programs were expanded to include topics on responsible pet ownership, the importance of spaying and neutering, and how to recognize and report animal abuse. The Rescue Center hosted workshops and seminars led by Emily and other animal welfare experts to foster a more informed and compassionate community. As the weeks turned into months, nearly all of the rescued dogs and puppies had found loving homes. The success of the adoption effort was a testament to the power of community and the resilience of the animals themselves. Each adoption story was a beacon of hope, a reminder of the difference that compassion and action could make. The chapter concludes with a community celebration at the local park, organized by the Rescue Center. Families and their new canine members gathered for a day of fun and fellowship. The park was filled with laughter, barking, and stories of the dogs' new lives. Emily, Linda, and John were there, watching the fruits of their labor, enjoying the sunshine and freedom. As the sun set, the community stood together, hands and paws intertwined, for a group photo. It was more than just a picture. It was a symbol of their collective journey from darkness to light, from despair to hope. For the dogs and puppies of Silent Pines, it truly was a new beginning, and for the people of Willow Creek, it was a reaffirmation of their commitment to justice and kindness. The story of Silent Pines was one of tragedy transformed into triumph, a chapter that would inspire and instruct future generations on the power of mercy and the importance of community. As the dust settled on the successful adoptions and the community continued to rally around the cause of animal welfare, the Willow Creek Animal Rescue Center decided to honor the memory of Amber and Bella in a way that would resonate far beyond the confines of their recent trials. The Rescue Center, with Emily Jensen at the helm, dedicated the new puppy care area as the Amber and Bella Nursery, a state-of-the-art facility designed to nurture and heal the youngest and most vulnerable rescued animals. The dedication ceremony was a poignant moment for everyone involved. A plaque bearing the names of Amber and Bella was unveiled at the entrance of the nursery, with a brief history of their story and the impact their legacy had inspired. These names will remind us not only of the lives we aim to save every day, Emily remarked during the ceremony, but also of the community's incredible capacity for compassion and action. The Amber and Bella Nursery became a beacon of hope and renewal, equipped with the best veterinary care facilities. The walls were painted in soothing colors, and the beds were soft and welcoming, each designed to give the puppies the comfort and security they needed to recover and grow strong enough for adoption. In conjunction with the nursery, the Rescue Center launched a series of educational programs aimed at fostering a deeper understanding and commitment to animal care and compassion. These programs were developed in partnership with local schools, community groups, and veterinary professionals. The curriculum covered a wide range of topics, from basic pet care and nutrition to more complex issues such as the ethical treatment of animals and how to advocate for animal welfare legislation. The programs quickly gained popularity, drawing interest not just from Willow Creek but from surrounding communities as well. Students, families, and individuals attended workshops and seminars, often followed by guided tours of the Amber and Bella Nursery. These educational sessions were interactive and designed to engage participants with real-world applications of the lessons they learned. One of the most successful initiatives was the Junior Vet program, which invited local schoolchildren to spend a day at the Rescue Center, learning firsthand about the day-to-day operations of animal rescue and care. The program emphasized empathy and responsibility, encouraging children to think critically about how they could contribute to animal welfare in their own lives. Moreover, the Rescue Center partnered with local media to produce a monthly newsletter and a series of informational videos featuring stories from the Amber and Bella Nursery. These stories highlighted successful rescues and adoptions, provided tips on pet care, and discussed ongoing needs and challenges in animal welfare. The media initiatives helped to maintain public interest and support for the Rescue Center's activities, spreading their message of compassion far and wide. As the years passed, the legacy of Amber and Bella continued to grow. The nursery nurtured hundreds of puppies, many of whom had come from situations of neglect or abuse, and each found a loving home thanks to the comprehensive care and preparation they received. The educational programs expanded, developing a new generation of animal welfare advocates and caretakers, inspired by the story of two dogs who had touched so many hearts. As we reflect on the journey we've shared and the stories we've told, let us pause and seek a blessing for the road ahead. May God bless each and every one of you, your families, and the loving pets that bring joy into our lives. Let His grace shine upon us, guiding us to act with kindness and compassion toward all creatures. Now, I encourage you all to take this message of love and stewardship into the world. Share these stories with your friends and family, engage in your community, and consider supporting local animal rescue efforts. Together we can make a profound impact, ensuring the legacy of care and respect for animals continues to grow. Let's not just be moved by these stories, let's be motivated by them to create a world where every animal is treated with the dignity and love they deserve. Thank you for your support, your compassion, and your action. God bless you all.